Hello and welcome to FPL Neutral. My name is Ram and my wildcard chip is active in Game Week 6. We're going to be looking at the best teams and players to target for a Game Week 6 wildcard. So, plenty of decisions to get through. So, let's jump right in. First off, let's look at why I decided to wildcard, right? So, this is my team from Game Week 5. It was a terrible week. I just scored 38 points. My rank from 1.5 million is now down to close to 2.2, 2.1. It was a bad week. So let's just get through it. The one decision I did right was starting Dubravka over Sanchez. Sanchez, who got a red card, and so thankfully a 7 point swing there. So uh, glad to have made that decision. My entire defense line disappointed, except Anderson, who came through with DEFCON, but I didn't have any of the other uh, def corners like Tarkovsky or Senesi or so Lacroix with 2 points, Rodon with 2 points, Porro with 1 point, and it pains me to see Reinders on the bench there with 9 points, who I decided to bench against Arsenal away. Came away with DEFCON, a shady DEFCON actually. He shouldn't have got that, and he's got the assist as well. My Kudus came through in midfield with 2 assists. So after 2 weeks of blanking, happy to have his couple of returns there. Salah, of course, came away with just the assist, so was hoping for more against Everton, but Gakpo again disappointing. My decision of going to Gakpo in Game Week 4 instead of Semenyo has completely backfired. It was a huge swing. It was a mistake. I thought I'd attack the short term fixtures of Liverpool with Burnley and Everton, but Gakpo quite disappointing to come through with a couple of blanks there. Again, my entire forward line again blanked. Gyökeres against City, two. João Pedro against United didn't help with playing with 10 men for most of the game. And Watkins once again. No, I don't want to say more about Watkins. So I think you can see the reasons why decided to wildcard. I had injury issues with Murillo and Sarr. The I wanted to get rid of Sanchez. I wanted to jump on Haaland. Of course, I didn't have any Arsenal defense. I wanted to get rid of Watkins. I wanted to change up my defenders, of course. So I think the wildcard was a pretty easy decision for me. So let's jump in on my decisions on a wild card, right? Like what, how do you, which are the teams I wanted to target in a Game Week 6 wild card? So let's look at what fixtures they have and like what players to target. So now this is a format I've made where we go team by team and we look at each team's all three positions, goalkeepers, defenders, midfielders, forwards, and we look at two tiers, right? Solid options, that means good options, we can, comfortably safe options we can go for, and then a few punts, like where you can slightly try to differentiate from the template and slightly try to get those upsides. Let's start with the team that everyone is actually wildcarding for, and that's Man City, right? Or more than Man City, I think you can say it's for Erling Haaland, because they've Haaland has started the season so well. Uh, he seems to be scoring even against Arsenal. He seems to be scoring in every game. So you really want to get him in, especially for that fixtures, right? Look at that fixture run, starting with Burnley at home, Brentford away, and Everton at home. It's a fantastic starting point. If I wasn't on wildcard, I'll probably be triple captaining Haaland this week. So it's a great entry point for City. So that's why on a Game Week 6 wildcard, you want Haaland is nailed for sure. Reinders in midfield is also definitely a nailed option. I went for him in Game Week 1, one of the best decisions I did. Of course, I benched him last week. That was disappointing, but still, he seems to be nailed, playing 90 minutes in every game. He seems to come up with those attacking returns every now and then. And of course, the injuries to Mamouche and Cherki seems to be helping his minutes as well. So Reinders should be a lock in most of our teams. Foden is another somebody who's come up in the last week. Of course, he had a disappointing year last year, but seems to have come back to his best this year. Again, as I said, the earlier mentioned injuries have helped him. He scored again in midweek in the cup, but then again, because he played in the cup, does that affect his minutes in the Premier League? So I'm not sure. I feel even if he plays, he might be subbed off early. So, but I wouldn't mind the punt at 8 million. There are other options around that price point, but if somebody with the fixtures there is, I think Foden is somebody who can go big, right? He has hat trick potential. He is known to have scored hat tricks before, so that is a punt there. And in defense, I think Donnarumma I do like, although it is an expensive option, but I think he will is a good shot stopper. I think he'll continue to get maybe saves, and the fixtures should get although the short-term fixtures are good and long-term the fixtures after that are not as great, but I think Donnarumma will continue to get decent points if you want to go there. But I feel Arsenal defense could be the better option given that price point, but I wouldn't mind that. Guardiola is a punt. I think he's the most nailed among the Man City defenders, but uh, can I guarantee that he will continue to get points every time, or could he shift to left back where his DEFCON potential might be low? I think he's hit DEFCON once in this league so far. So at 5.8 million, I don't think I'll go there. If I'm going for a City defense, I think I'll just go to Donnarumma. But I wouldn't mind the punt either. So these are the options from City that I would consider on a wild card. Now let's move on to Arsenal. Another reason why a lot of people are wildcarding, because most of us didn't start with Arsenal at the start of the season, right? Because they had tough fixtures. They had United, Liverpool, and City, and this week Newcastle. They all had tough fixtures to start with, and game week 7 was what we all had our eyes on. That was when the fixtures turned. West Ham at home was a great entry point. West Ham, Fulham, Palace, Burnley, Sunderland. That's a fantastic run of fixture. So any game week 6 wildcard, I would say, should have triple Arsenal. I think the question is always between double defense or double attack. Now, if you have to go double defense in any team, I think Arsenal are the team to go for. They are the best defense in the league. The clean sheet projections for the next few weeks are insane for Arsenal. So I am expecting quite a few clean sheets. Of course, losing a clean sheet on a double defense never feels great if it happens. But I think Raya and Gabriel looks like a great combo to have in your wild card. I think Raya can be your keeper for an extended period of time, who can continue to, although he may not get too many save points, but I think the clean sheets should take along, because Arsenal have literally just conceded 2 goals this season. There was one against Liverpool and one against Man City in the league. So I think the clean sheets will come in this run. So a double up on the defense looks good. Timber is an option, but I just feel like Gabriel is probably the safer on minutes. But of course, there is a punt. Timber has scored a couple of goals already in the league, and he could pop up with some of those. And minutes look good at the moment. Of course, Ben White played in midweek in the cup, so actually Timber's minutes look pretty good for the short term. So, but we may never know in the long term that it might change, especially with Champions League and all that. So, and going to midfield and the attack, basically, I think Saka is somebody who's really interesting now, because with Madueke confirmed out for a couple of months, Saka becomes an option, right? I think he should be nailed in that team. Like last many years, Arteta play. There you could argue that he's been playing Saka too much, but I think Saka, he was injured. He's come back and he's showed a strong performance in the last game as well. The main concern with Saka is, for that price, I think he loses penalties now, because Gyökeres, I think, will take over penalties. I think that he scored one as well. And Arteta basically confirmed that Gyökeres is the best penalty taker in the league. So without penalties, does Saka's appeal come down a bit? I think it does, but he's still the best player in that team, and he should come up with good points. Sure, maybe you can wait on Saka. Maybe if you don't want to go immediately and see how the team's doing, if he starts popping off in the next couple of weeks, you could bring him in, have a placeholder there in somebody like a Bruno or somebody there in that higher price, where you can have an option to go to Saka. And Gyökeres up front, again, he was in my team as well. I think he continues to be probably the best, safest option to go for in the Arsenal attack, because he's playing center forward. He's on penalties. He's played 90 minutes in most games, except a couple of games where he got subbed off early. So that could be a topsy turvy thing, especially during Champions League weeks. But I just feel with Howard's injury out, he should get the minutes, and he has been a little disappointing against the big teams. But I think against the smaller teams, he should pop up. And you want a flat track bully in FPL, because that's somebody who can get you those hauls against the weaker teams, and that's the run that's coming up, right? Again, especially West Ham, Fulham, Palace. So I think I'm leaning towards Gyökeres in my team as well, but Saka is definitely in consideration. Eze is a punt you can go for, I think, but the minutes I will still have doubts on, because he got rested. He didn't start against Man City. He did play the midweek game, and he did score. So he is in scoring form from midweek. So it's a punt, but I still feel with Martinelli playing well, so his minutes might be limited. So we're not sure there yet. It's a punt if you really want to go there from game week 7 onwards. Now, That's Arsenal. Let's move on to another team that started the season so well, Bournemouth. I think they've been I really good to watch, attacking and defensively. After losing so many players to transfers in the summer, you thought they'll regress, especially defensively, but they've looked solid. I think Semenyo has been fantastic. I think he's consistently performed. Again, it was a mistake from my side not to go for him in game week 4 when I was making the move, but yeah, and I'm gonna fix that this week in my wildcard for sure. It's a lock in my wildcard team, and the same goes for Senesi in defense, right? I think he's looked incredibly good. He's hit DefCon points in all 5 games so far. Only one of 2 players to have done that. So he looks solid. He looks to have a good base of a four to 5 pointer in most games. He's already up to 4.8 now. Actually, in the photo you'll see 4.7 because I've got him at that price, but he's already gone up to 4.8. Semenyo's gone up to 7.7. So I think pretty much every wildcard team that you see online is going to have at least Semenyo and Senesi in the team because those look like locks for a while. If you look at the fixtures, Leeds is a great entry point in game week 6. Fulham, Palace, Nottingham Forest, next 4 look good. Game week 10 is the only difficult fixture against City, but after that it gets good again. Villa are pretty good right at the moment. West Ham, Sunderland, Everton. So the long-term fixtures do look good, and with defenders like Senesi, you can just have them there for any fixture, right? You can still get defcons. And I think Petrovic is the best 4.5 keeper in the game. If you're really going there, if you want to if you don't want to go for the Rayas or the Donnarumas or any of the 5 million keepers, I think at 4.5, Petrovic offers good value. Definitely can go there. And Evan Nielsen as your striker, I think, is a good punt to go for. I think the template you can see online of in the forwards is basically the Haaland, João Pedro, and Gyökeres, right? In most wildcard teams, that seems to be the template 3 forwards. I think the best option outside of these, I would say, is Evan Nielsen. You can see the fixtures there. He has 1 goal and assist so far, but no penalties. Of course, Semenyo had added that to his armor, penalties, so that's why he makes it even better. But Evan Nielsen without penalties is a slight. There's a doubt if he'll hit the big numbers, but it's still a solid punt to have in your team. So that's Bournemouth, definitely somebody you should be investing. Moving on to Everton, another team which has done well this season. I think the entire team has generally been changed, right? With a lot of flair attacking players coming in from. There's a change in how we view Everton from last season. So and look at that entry point again in game week 6. West Ham at home. That's a beautiful entry point. West Ham are struggling to do anything, attack or defend. So it's a great entry point to have. Now, which are the picks that you want to go for in Everton? So uh, in defense, Tarkovsky, once again, we just spoke about Senesi in Bournemouth. Tarkovsky is the only other defender to hit DEFCON points in all 5 games so far. This was expected last season. He had one of the best numbers in defensive contributions. So he's carried it over this season. He's hit it in every game, although he is expensive at 5.5. If you look at Everton's fixtures, actually the entry point is good in terms of West Ham at home in game week 6, but the fixtures immediately after that, the next 3, Crystal Palace, Man City, and Tottenham, are not the best actually. So although I think Tarkovsky can hit those DEFCON points in most of these games, will the clean sheets come? I just feel a defender's value has to have some clean sheet potential as well. So I am slightly undecided on having Tarkovsky. I know a lot of people have them in their team. I think most teams I see online are wildcard teams that have Tarkovsky in place. I know it's a good glue person to have for your long-term team. You can play them in most fixtures. Basically, you can get at least a good base of that DEFCON. So Tarkovsky is definitely a good, solid option. And then the midfielders, the midfield trio that play behind the striker for Everton. So I think Ndiaye is the best option there. I think by far. I think Ndiaye has multiple routes to points. He should be on penalties. We don't know yet because Everton haven't got a penalty yet. He hit DEFCON a couple of times already, even in game week 5. So that was surprising a little bit, but he's hitting those numbers. So that's an added arrow in his locker, right? And then of course, he looks attacking. He already has a couple of goals. So I think with all the routes to points that he has, NDI looks to be the best option to have in Everton. But at that price, Dewsbury Hall also is, I think, is great value at 5 million. At if you want to go for the budget enabler in your team, I think Dewsbury Hall offers good value. I think he won't hit the heights as much as NDI does because he doesn't have as many routes to points. But I think he can still come up with every now and then with a goal and assist. So I think it's a decent option to go for. And then Grealish is somebody is a punt at 6.8 million. I think he doesn't have as many routes to points, but I think he's looked so good. I think he has haul potential, of course, because he's such a great player, right? As just the quality is there. He can provide assists, he can win penalties, he can but there are, I would still say it's a punt because I think NDI has more options at that same price. And that game week 8, Grealish plays Man City, so which is away from home. So sorry, he's suspended for that game because he's on loan. So that's an option why you might not want to consider. Of course, you can still bench him. So that's Everton. Moving on to Spurs, who probably have the best fixture run for the next at least 3-4 game weeks as a 4 game period. Okay, they have Wolves at home, again a great entry point. Leeds away, Villa at home, and Everton away. I think it's a good fixture run to go for. I think Spurs defense has done well, 3 clean sheets in 5 games so far. So they, although of course they are slightly overperforming their xgc, but still I think defense has done well. They've got clean sheets in the cup, in Europe, all that. I think Romero is my pick of the bunch, although you know he is 5.1 over zero point 0.4 over Van de Ven, but I think Romero is the one has good decent defcon potential. He's hit it only in 2 games so far, but he hit 18 in the last game, I feel. So he has good defcon potential, and he's good for a goal or assist. He had a goal disallowed in the last game unfairly. He should have had that goal, and he already has an assist. So I think he can come up with a few attacking returns every now and then, and possibly clean sheets. I think Romero is the one which would be my pick. Van de Ven has very much lesser defcon potential, but of course it's cheaper, and he already has goal threat. He already has a goal, so you could go there as well. Vicario is a punt. You could go there, but I still feel at 5 million you could go for somebody like a Pope. We'll look at Newcastle later, but I'm not sure if I wouldn't go there to Vicario. I think I will stick to one of the defenders if you're going there. And onto the midfielders, I think Kudus is somebody I've had for the last 3 weeks. It's been a little frustrating because he doesn't have as much goal threat as you want. But he did come up with 2 assists. He's up to 4 assists for the season now, joint top with Grealish. So but you do want your goal threat. But what I like about Kudus is that he gets 90 minutes. He's the most nailed in that team. But all the other attackers in that team can get early substitutions, but Kudus seems to be playing 90 minutes in pretty much every game. I think he is starting to take shots. I think I saw a couple of decent shots in last game. So I think the returns will come. I really like Kudus too in my team. I think uh, so. It's an option between Kudus or Javi Simons, right? Who is more of a punt. I think he has the better goal threat, but he has been subbed off a little early in the 60th and 70th minutes for Spurs. He did play in midweek as well, so I'm not sure if he'll start this weekend. He should, but in that number 10 role. But I think the likes of Sar and Bergwall have all done well this season, so there could be some rotation. I think Kudus looks to be the most nailed in that team, so I think I might hold on to him on my wildcard team as well. And Richarlison as a short-term punt, I don't mind it at all because I think he should get that centre forward slot. Neil, I'm not sure about Kolomuani if he's ready to start matches yet. So Solanke is not back. I don't think he's back from injury yet. So Richarlison as a short-term punt for the next 3-4 weeks looks good. My idea is to have Spurs players for the next 4 weeks, and in game week 10 we can move them on to some other options. We'll look at what teams we can go for in a while. Now next up, let's look at Manchester United. I don't have anybody in the defenders, keepers, or forwards line, but the midfield is where we want to target here. They do have good fixtures actually. If you look at Brentford this week, Sunderland home, that's a great fixture in game week 7. Of course, the only tough fixture is game week 8 away to Liverpool, but beyond that, you can look Brighton, Forest, Spurs, Everton, Palace, West Ham. It's a decent run for the long term. Bruno Fernandes looks to be the darling, right? Darling of FPL this season. I think a lot of people initially didn't had their doubts, but he seems to have proven most people wrong. He's a couple of 10 pointers, which included a penalty miss as well. So he could have got more, getting DEFCON in most games. So he seems to be doing really well, and he is expensive at 9 million. But I also feel the guy next to him, Mbomo, is quite underrated. He's going under the radar because he has dodged a few points. He had quite a few chances. His data is really good. Underlying data, I think he has the best in the league in terms of expected goal involvement so far. So uh, I actually feel the point nearly a million saving over Bruno for Mbomo can actually be worth it, and I'm genuinely considering going Mbumo over Bruno in my team. I do want to go for a United midfielder for sure for the fixtures. I think they do have the good fixtures, and Mbumo, I like it as an entry point this week. He's going to play against his former team Brentford away, so I think he's going to go back to that stadium which he was amazing at. So I think I like the narrative of him doing that and smashing it there. So I might just go for Mbumo in my team, but Bruno seems to be a solid option for anybody going there. Penalties, 90 minutes, defcon potential, and he can pop up with your goals and assists as well. So and then Cunha, I wouldn't really go there, but I think he should be back from injury right now, so I think he should be playing. But then because of the injury, I don't know what minutes he gets, so I don't really want to go there, but it's a punt. If anybody wants to go there, I wouldn't mind that. And then let's move on to Chelsea now. Chelsea have had a few injury issues, right? Palmer went off injured in the last game, so that does affect how the overall team does perform. It's an okay entry point. Brighton at home is a good fixture in game week 6, but then it's immediately Liverpool afterwards. But then the fixtures after that are really great. I think Forest, Sunderland, Spurs, Wolves, Burnley. That's a fantastic run of fixtures. So definitely you would want Chelsea players, at least one now, but at least by game week 8 or 9 you'd want try to get more. So I think with Palmer's injury, the options just reduce. I think let's start from the forwards. João Pedro looks to be again a lock in most teams. I think he's has again one of the best season starts of the season so far. So even in my team, I'm happy to have continue with João Pedro. Caicedo looks to be another really good option. He's hit DEFCON in I think 4 out of the 5 games so far. He's come up with 2 goals. Of course, that may not continue for too long, but I think Caicedo should stick along with a good baseline of 4 points. So I prefer Caicedo to over the 5 million options like of Dewsbury Hall or Stack from Leeds or things like that. So it's a good option. Punts of Enzo, I think Enzo could get penalties so if Palmer's not on the pitch, but it could be João Pedro as well. But Enzo's taken one already, so that's a decent punt to go there. He takes corners on set pieces, all that. And in defense, I think Chalobah has looked amazing. I think he's hit again DEFCON. He's already got a couple of goals and an assist so far. That's really great numbers for a defender. But I just feel maybe with Chelsea's, I think Fofana's back from injury now. Tosin playing Champions League around. Will they be rotating the players a bit? So I do have my doubts on Chelsea defense, but Chalobah looks to be a great upside punt that you can go for sure. Now let's look at Liverpool. Liverpool are a team where I think a lot of people may not have anybody on their wildcard. Even my wildcard current draft doesn't have any Liverpool. Uh, the best option to go for, I would say, is Virgil van Dijk. I know it's 6.1 million. It's a little expensive, but he's only one. I think one of the only players on the big teams who is getting regular DEFCON potential numbers, and he can come up with a goal every now and then. And but the Liverpool fixtures immediately are not the best. Palace away, Chelsea and United not the best, but from game week 9 or 10, it gets better. And I think the really good fixture starts from game week 12 and 13, and Forest, West Ham, Sunderland. So I think a lot of people are considering starting with an Arsenal defender now and moving to Van Dijk then. So that could be the option. Mo Salah is started the season that hasn't looked his best, right? He's looked a little peripheral. I think it's a lot of money to go. I know a lot of people, some people are considering doing a Haaland and Salah draft. I just feel you'd make too many sacrifices to do that. So I think a Haaland only draft without Salah is the way to go at the moment. Isaac, I think I added him as a punt only because Ekitike had a brain fart moment in midweek in the cup where he got suspended for taking off his shirt for scoring a tap in against Southampton. That was weird. But Isaac should start this weekend, I feel. But again, Slot has been very like in his press conferences, he's talked about managing Isaac's minutes a lot. So I just feel he should get early substitutions. He may not start all the games. So I just feel it's a punt. I don't think I'll go Liverpool in my wildcard draft. Now let's go on to another team that's going under the radar, Newcastle. They've had the best defensive numbers in the entire season so far. They just have I think 2 XGC conceded so far. They've played Bournemouth, they've played Liverpool, they've played Villa, but still they have 4 out of 5 clean sheets. So the defense looks good. I think Pope is definitely an option at 5 million if anybody wants to go there. I know this week is Arsenal at home is a difficult option, but from game week 7 onwards looks to be a good run of fixtures, at least for the next 5. Forest, Brighton, Fulham, West Ham, and Brentford is a good decent run of fixtures. So People are considering Dan Burn as well, who's also hit defensive contributions. I think 3 out of 5 times so far. So he also looks a solid option. They do have a lot of centre backs in the team now. So will he start all the games? But he is a favorite of Eddie Howe, so I think he will. But it is a punt. And then the two attacking options that you can punt on. I was quite keen on Gordon because he's back. We don't have enough data on him because he was suspended for 3 games, but he's a great option to have. It's also benching headache if you go for a Newcastle attacker this week. If you have 8 attackers, you can bench them for this week, and then from next week you can start playing them. But both Gordon and Voltemada, I think, are punts if anybody wants to go there as options, cheaper options than your Gyökeres or Ja Pedro maybe. So these are punts. You can go there. And now just look a few other teams. I think quickly around. Okay, Fulham have not best fixtures, but Anderson of Fulham has been again a defensive contribution monster. He's in my team. I think I'll continue with him. He's one of those glue guys like your Senesis and your Tarkovskis who can keep there for most fixtures. So I may not play him in the first few games, but as a long-term pick, he looks solid. Palace again don't have great fixtures immediately. I think they're playing Liverpool, and then they have Everton, Bournemouth, Arsenal in the next four. So, but then again, Richards and Gahey are cheap options again with good DEFCON potential. I think what I'm eyeing at is maybe going for a Spurs defender at start and then switching to a Palace defender in game week 10 when Palace's good run starts. So that could be an option. Could be Lacroix, could be Richards. And in Brighton, actually, I think again, Brighton also another team which has a good run from 10 onwards. Immediate fixtures are not as great, but 10 is a good start with Leeds, and they grow Leeds and Palace and Brentford and Forest and Villa. That's a great run of fixtures from Brighton from game week 10. I'm looking at Minte as an option. Mitoma and Minte are both should be nailed in that team as wingers. I think Minte is the cheaper option. I think he should be good. He took a lovely goal last weekend, so definitely I'm considering that. And then in your forwards, not too many options, but Strand Larson is somebody I would consider from Wolves, but Wolves as a team have started terribly. They're on 0 points. So I think, but if you really want a cheaper option, I don't mind Strand Larson. And then one last slide where we look at the promoted teams and the cheap enablers that you have. I think Dubravka is the default goalkeeper to have as your second keeper at 4 million. And in your defense, you can go for maybe a Leeds defender like Rodon, who has decent DEFCON potential, and the two Sunderland defenders in Mukiele and Alderete. I think both of them are interchangeably good. I think Alderete has hit decent numbers, and again in DEFCON. Mukiele has also had played 2 games and got DEFCON in both games, but he might be shifted to right back later, so where he might not get as much DEFCON. So I think I prefer Alderete at the moment. In midfield, the cheap midfielder Stark from Leeds has had a great game week 6 where he scored 12 points. So it's been uh, so that's as a cheap option that looks great. And then Xhaka from Sunderland as well has a decent somebody you can have in your bench most of the weeks. And up front, I think Foster at 5 million looks to be the best cheap option. Calvert-Lewin, if you really want to go there, if you want the pain from so many years before, you can still go there. These are the enablers that you can have in your team. Now let's look at my wildcard team. Right now, what I have. So this is my current wildcard draft. Let's quickly go through it. Of course, this draft means I'll have 0.8 million in the bank. I have unlimited free transfers. I've gone for double Arsenal defense of Raya and Gabriel, and I've gone for Gyökeres up front. That's my 3 Arsenal. I've gone for the nailed picks of Senesi and Semenyo from Bournemouth. I have Ndiaye from Everton. I have Reinders from City, and of course Haaland captain up front, João Pedro up front. So these are the locks, I will say, in my team. Now, where have I slightly varied? I've gone for Mbumo over Bruno. I think the 1 million saving, as I mentioned, is pretty good. A lot of things you can do. I've gone for Kudus as my fifth midfielder. Now, of course, this draft, as you can see, has 8 really good attackers. Doesn't have a cheap enabler and attack. That means I will be benching quite decently priced people in most weeks. If you can see in this draft, I'm currently benching Gyökeres, a 9 million striker actually. But if you can see, all the other attackers have fantastic fixtures. And now in the next coming weeks, I think each one of these 8 attackers are going to have one difficult fixture each. So I think somehow the rotation I've seen has somehow seems to have worked out. I've gone for again Joachim Anderson as another DEFCON guy in my bench defense. I've gone for Alderete as my 4 million defender, and I've gone for Romero from Spurs as my other defensive options over somebody like a Tarkovsky. I just feel like there is upside there. Romero could pop up with a goal or an assist someday, and I think the Wolves is a good entry point. So I just feel it's a good option to have for the next 4 weeks, and then after 4 weeks, you could switch them on to somebody like a Palace defense, like a Lacroix or a Richards when their fixtures turn. So I like Haaland, of course, is my captain. There's no doubt about that. I like this particular team at this moment. Of course, there are a few other options I am considering. I'm looking at maybe downgrading one of the midfielders to somebody like a Caicedo if I want to play Gyökeres this week, and upgrade maybe one of my defenders up to a Tarkovsky or a Van Dijk or somebody. So there are options and if to consider here. But I like the structure. I like the strength of the bench as well. I want to bench boost soon. So this is how my current wildcard draft looks. Now let me just quickly look through. I'll just show you a quick browsing through how I'm doing in how this team will look. If you can see, this is my game week 6 team. As you said, you can see the lineup as we discussed. Gyökeres on the bench doesn't feel great, but Newcastle has been the best defense so far in this league, so hopefully they can continue that. Now let's look at how we line up in game week 7. Game week 7, João Pedro plays against Liverpool, so I'm benching him, bringing in Gyökeres for West Ham at home. The midfield fixtures still look great. Boom against Sunderland, Reinders against Brentford, Fulham, Kudus Leeds, Ndiaye playing Palace. I think that again that's a great set of fixtures to look at. And then in game week 8, when Ndiaye plays City away, we bring in we bench him and we bring in some of the others. That is, we bring back your João Pedro, we bring back Gyökeres. So I think uh, the team looks decent as well. I feel we could look to bench boost in this week because Alderete has plays Wolves at home, Dubravka has Leeds at home, so these are decent fixtures for our bench as well. We might still continue. And then in game week 9, again, I'm not making any transfers in any of these week. I'm rolling my free transfers. I'm already at 4 free transfers in game week 9. And again, the game week 9 fixtures look good. Senesi, Gabriel, Romero fixtures look good. Midfield fixtures look good. And then up front, you can bench India playing Spurs, Gyökeres playing Palace at home, João Pedro playing Sunderland at home. If needed, I could bring in some Chelsea options here, but I feel Palmer's fitness may not have resolved by then. So I'm still good with this team. I can go to game week 10 with 5 free transfers rolled up, and that feels great. And here you could do the moves as I mentioned. I can move from Romero to somebody like a Lacroix, who will be playing Brentford at home as a great entry point, and I can move Kudus, who's entering a tough run of fixtures, into somebody like a Minte, who Brighton's good run of fixture starts there. You can see a Leeds at home fixture starts there. So I think this is a great structure to have. I think I'm happy with this at the moment. Of course, I reserve my right to change it before the deadline. I might upload one more if there's any changes. Of course, in game week 10, you'll be benching Senesi and Semenyo. So that's it. I'm not going beyond this. I think just the next few weeks rotation. So that is how my wildcard team is shaping up. I know this was a slightly longer video, so thank you so much for watching, and do let me know how the team looks and any comments you have, any suggestions you have in the comments. So leave a like on this video and do subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and good night.